Hey guys, SCSurvival and Hunting here. Today we're doing a quick, well not quick, but a good video on the testing of the Schrade SCHF36. Now, this is the knife right here. This is it has a similar blade style to the BK2, made by K-Bar. We're just gonna go out here, see how it performs, you know, doing just various common bushcraft like splitting through wood, batoning, feathering, chopping smaller sticks, shaving with the spine, shaving with the blade, tip test, you know, different things like that. And so we're just gonna take a quick look at it today, see how it performs. And we haven't used it much, we've just been kind of shaving a little bit, see kind of how it does. And so the coating gets really dirty. Later on, we'll probably do a video of us stripping the coating with some Jasco epoxy remover, because I think it'll look good with the silver blade. Comment down below if you want it done. We've already had one person comment that he wants us to do it, and I'm really thinking about it would do it. You know, do that, polish it up real nice, and so that'd be good. Now, I wouldn't say this is a disclaimer, but I will go ahead and say this. After you are using this knife right here, because of the blade material, go put some rim oil or some mineral oil on it. So as soon as I'm done shooting some videos, getting some work done out here, I'm gonna go put some rim oil on this because I don't want the blade to rust. Now, the spots where you need to put mineral oil and stuff on is where the metal is exposed, so the blade and then any chips in the coating. So that's about it.
Okay, so I'm just going to run down through the list of exactly what we're doing today. Again, we are testing the Schrade SCHF36. They're one of their many new survival knives for this year. Great product. So this is testing it bushcraft style. So we're going to start out with doing some simple batoning, you know, just trying to get the wood into smaller pieces. Then we'll start out with splitting the wood, you know, just a different form of batoning. Then we will move into chopping wood and into notching it. We'll see how that goes. Then we're going to work on feathering. We're going to remove the bark with the spine of the knife, and we're going to do some fire starting, a little bit of fire starting, you know, seeing how well the fire starter will catch the stick that we have feathered on fire. And then finally we will finish off with a tip test. So let's go ahead and get started.
Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you want to know all the specifications on this knife, we have a tabletop review bushcraft style over in the woods that we filmed, and we uploaded that a couple weeks ago. So I'll put the link in the description below according to which knife we're reviewing that day. So yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna move this out the way, and I'm just gonna stick this right here in the log for now. I'm gonna go get a certain thing I want to baton. Oh, and excuse me guys, just for 1 second, I forgot to get my actual batoning kit. Alright, so I got it. It's pretty hefty, but it'll do the job. Going through whatever. So I have it. And then, first off, we're gonna just baton. I got a little piece of split wood. We've already split it with the axe. But since this is a really small knife, you're not going to be doing humongous, you know, limbs with this. So let's go ahead and start off. Going to stick it on the side. See how well this bites into the wood. Bit into the wood quite well. So that's one piece. Now we're going to go to the other side. I'm going to try this. That thing is pretty heavy. Doing pretty good. It's going through quite well, making some good small tinder for it, or not tinder, but wood for the fire. And see, whenever you're batoning, you just kind of want to go around to make whichever size sticks you want. And so, let's see, you're right about there. Sometimes you have to adjust it. That pretty color in that wood. It's gonna be great for a fire. This is doing pretty well. The coating's doing decent. I can tell that the spots where I've hit it on the wood is not as coarse as it used to be because it's wearing off. But that's just cosmetics. I don't care what the knife looks like coating wise. If it gets the job done, that's all I'm asking. So, oh yeah. And note, part of this wood was dead. So that piece right there fell off. The rest is alive, just little pieces right there. The last time we baton this last one time, then we'll move on to something else. Sometimes it gets hard to get started. Sometimes it goes into the ground. All right, so now that we got it into pretty decent sized pieces, we're gonna take it and we're going to baton these into some smaller pieces so we can get what is kindling. So we get this. So here's what you can do. You just take a little small piece. You can take it. Let's see. I'm doing this right here because it's starting to, whenever I hit it, it's going into the wood, into the ground. So I think this will make it a little bit easier. And the only reason why it could have went through that much faster, I just went through it that slow because I didn't want it to fly anywhere. So now we're getting some smaller pieces. I'm gonna do one more chop through each one of these to get nice small pieces for the fire. Alright guys, so now we're going to do a little bit more batoning with the SCHF36. I've done quite a bit of batoning with it. I really like how well it is, how well it does, excuse me. So I'm just going to take this little, so if you want a smaller piece like this to throw on your fire, let's see how well, excuse me, got to get my little thing out of the way. And this batons very well. I really like how well this thing batons. Does a fabulous job in my opinion. So good job, Schrade. There's already a notch right there. Sometimes with extremely hard wood, it's going to be quite hard to get started, you know. So I'm going to keep these big pieces right here because I like having big pieces from a fire. Let's see right here if we can. Now, first I'm going to take it and split it right back down the middle again. See if we can split it. Wrong one, guys, sorry. Got a pretty fine stick that time. One last time to just show you how well and how small you can actually get these sticks for kindling and sorts. So let's see, just kind of, I'm not going to feather. This will actually let me, wow. Okay, then we'll do a little bit of feathering. I'm not going to start a fire right now. I've already done a clip of doing it, but look, just that little bit right there got some pretty darn good feathers, so you can keep going. You can get shavings off like I'm doing right now. You can do different things like that. I prefer to just get some nice shavings, which is what I'm doing right now. And that did a pretty darn good job at feathering it. I'm proud of it. And doing these feathering is after a lot of batoning, as you can tell, the wear on the coating. And we'll eventually do a video of us stripping the coating. Let's see if we can take this and drill a little hole. Not a hole, just a little. See how well it. Doing pretty good. Just a good little hole, just a small, cheat test. What I'm going to do now is, you see this right here? I'm going to use the backside, the spine first. I removed that pretty quick. Now let's do stick with the, there we go, got that nice. And now let's see if we can get any. So just kind of see how well you can shave a little piece off. Oops, sorry guys, excuse me. Hey, as you can see, it shaves pretty well. What I really like is how well you can get a spot on there and do some good work. And if you needed to, see, it shaves it just fine. That does pretty good, if I have to say so myself. And if you need to, you can I'm not trying to feather right now. I'm just getting a lot of big shavings out. That shaves it pretty well to where you can get a whole bunch of shavings off to start a fire. And next simple little test, I'm just going to take some small twigs that you don't feel like breaking in half, just see if it can make a very light work of it, because again, this is a very heavy knife, and that just smacked me right in the face. Let's see how stuff is. Whoa, that was cool. If y'all heard that whenever it went into the air. Sorry guys, I was messing around the last one, but you heard that in the air. That was a pretty cool sound. So we did a little bit more batoning. We did some shaving of the bark, and if you want to see just a little bit how you can choke up on the choil. If you really wanted to, you can start getting feathers all the way down. But again, doing mighty well. I'm very pleased with it. Now, let's see, I have a little piece of fat lighter right here. Let's see how well someone can go in with this and shave it. We'll see. I'm pulled up to the camera. Even after some fine detail work, I mean not fine detail work, hard abuse work, you can get down and get some pretty good feather types off of some fat lighter. That's always good because fat lighter is so useful in the realm of survival. What I started doing lately is I stick a little piece of fat lighter in my sheath so I can have a little bit to start a fire with at any given time. Now, what are we going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of a tip test, so to speak. So I'm going to get down on this log, and it's biting in pretty deep, as you can tell. It's getting pretty deep. The tip did very well. And I'll pull it up again. There's no damage to the tip, as you can tell. Did a good job on the tip. I'm just going to put this back in the sheath right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, stab it as deep as I can into the log, and bend it over and see if the tip bends or breaks. That's a good one. Last one. So, through all that, the tip looks pretty good if you can zoom in on it and look at it. Looks pretty good. There's no bending of it or anything. Blade's still good from it. It bit the wood very well going in. Yes. Now, just for a little bit of fun here, I'm going to take a couple of the logs that we split earlier, one of the thinner ones, see kind of how well you can go down and chop and get kind of like a tent stake type spike. This was all you had and you needed a small little tent stake. That worked pretty well. Now this was a thin piece of wood, so let's get a thicker piece of wood to work on. Let's see if it can get some. Now tent stakes like this don't have to be pretty. They have to be what you call functional. And that's a good, tent stake to just drive them to the ground pretty easy with a hammer. See, I'm gonna get a little bit of a little bit of a finer point, pretty easy. And then at the end you can always go in, shave it, and that's good enough for me. Because sometimes when you're out in the woods, you're going to have to need to make your own things, you know? Take this right here. You know how sometimes you just need to split something? Well, that went through it pretty easy. This isn't dead, it's just very light. So with that, went through that. That's just bark of an outer coating of oak wood. So let's see what our next test is.
That's it.
There's nothing else?
No.
Notching, yes there is.
Notching. Okay.
Alright. So here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to take this right here, and I'm going to take the blade, pound it in there, and see how well you can get 45 angles out of it. So I'm going to get my little bushcraft stick, see how well I can do this. And this is hickory, this is very hard wood. I'm using all the hardest woods right now. As you can tell, it's biting the wood very well, and good thing is doing this, you're going against the grain. So it's gonna be a lot tougher to go against the grain like this than a baton it right down the middle. See if it can do it on the side. And as soon as we get through this, there's just one more test that I'm going to do. That goes pretty well in there. I went too far, so I'm just going to have to hit it out, so not a biggie. Some people don't recommend how I just did that. That's okay, it's not going to hurt the knife. It's doing pretty darn well doing this. So, you know, if you had to cut down a tree, not a tree, but a good sapling at your base camp, or get through a big log, you can certainly do it. Couple more hits, should be over with. See. Nope, not ready to hit it right in half yet. But this knife really bites well, bites pretty good into the blade, into the wood. That's what I like. And this last hit right here, I think I'll be done unless it snaps it in half. There, so y'all get the big picture of what it could do. Did pretty well just notching it around. Alright guys, so for some final thoughts about this knife on the use. This is an excellent knife. For $36.99 I believe is the retail on this one, $36.99 or $35.99. It is a great knife. Now, the only modification that I'm going to do to this is get the painting off, the coating. As you can tell, it's chipping right there. And just I'm thankful that it came with the ferro rod and the sharpening stone. Now the ferro rod is more of a secondary ferro rod because it's I like mine about 6 inches long, but still, this is a great knife. I like the sheath, which is right down there. You know, I'm tempted. I may get a Kydex sheath for this. Not sure yet, but I know I'm gonna strip off the coating with some Jasco, epoxy remover, and we'll do a video on that. You know, other quick thoughts, I like the blade steel. Just make sure to keep some mineral oil or rim oil on it after use. Like the handles are quite grippy. They're really ergonomic, like how all three of the blades in this series have